Inside of every single human being is a God-given gift called the conscience. 1,500 years ago, Saint Dorotheos of Gaza gave a sermon about the conscience, which he called the divine spark. One of the aims of this YouTube channel is to present some of the excellent truths from history, to remind us that God is unchanging and those things that we know about Him and that we learn about Him remain constant throughout the centuries. Wisdom delivered 1,000 years ago, 1,500 years ago and 2,000 years ago is still wisdom for us today. Last time we quoted excerpts from a sermon by Saint Dorotheos of Gaza. It was about how we relate to our neighbors. Today we're quoting segments from a sermon about how we relate to our own conscience. Once again, we are only looking at excerpts, and there is more to discover in the writings of Dorotheos and in the early Church Fathers. When God created man, He breathed into him something divine, as it were a hot and bright spark added to reason, which lit up the mind and showed him the difference between right and wrong. This is called the conscience, which is the law of his nature. To this law of conscience adhered the patriarchs and all the holy men of old before the written law, and they were pleasing to God. But when this law was buried and trodden underfoot by men through the onset of sin, we needed a written law. We needed the holy prophets. We needed the instruction of our Master, Jesus Christ, to reveal it and raise it up and bring to life the observance of the commandments, that buried spark. It is in our power either to bury it again, or, if we obey it, to allow it to shine and illuminate us. When our conscience says to us, "Do this," and we despise it, and it speaks again, and we do not do it but continue to despise it, at last we bury it, and it is no longer a blessing to speak clearly to us from the depths where we have laid it. But like a lamp shining on a damaged mirror, it reflects things dimly and darkly, just as you cannot see the reflection of your face in muddy water. We are found unable to perceive what our conscience says to us, so that we think we have hardly any conscience. No one is without a conscience, since it is something divinely implanted in us, as we have already said, and it can never be destroyed. Let us be zealous, brothers, to guard our conscience for as long as we are in this world, and not to neglect its promptings in anything. And let us not tread it underfoot, even in the least thing. For you can see that from the smallest things, which of their nature are worth little, we come to despise the great things. From this way of saying, "What does this or that matter?" a man takes evil and bitter nourishment, and begins presently to despise greater and more serious things, and even to tread down his conscience. And so, at last destroying it bit by bit, he falls into danger and finally becomes completely impervious to the light of conscience. Therefore, brothers, see to it that we do not neglect little things. See to it that we do not despise them as of no account. There are no little things, for when it is a question of bad habits, it is a question of a malignant ulcer. Let us live circumspectly. Let us give heed to trivial matters when they are trivial, lest they become grave. Doing what is right and what is wrong both begin from small things and advance to what is great, either good or evil. Once again, please do check out our other video where we quote from Dorotheos of Gaza, a wonderful saint from 1.5 millennia ago. And of course, we often quote old saints on this channel. There is so much precious teaching in the ancient writings. We're accompanying this episode with a cup of tea that is black tea with coconut and almond bark, and it's very strong. I think I brewed it too strong, and it could do with a bit more water and a little bit of sugar. I think it's too strong.
Good. Shall we cut?
Oh, ouch.